Liu Ryan rejected 888 suitors. Then she pushed me down and said she liked me. Next, she immediately posted it on her social media, announcing it officially. Who would have thought that the boyfriend she announced wasn't me? I was heartbroken for exactly 1,095 days. Finally, I managed to get back on my feet. But then, due to the pandemic, I was sent to a hotel for quarantine. However, when I opened the door, I found it was a romantic-themed room with a large bed. I posted about it on social media, and Liu Ryan liked the post. I discovered she was staying right next door to me. For the first time in my life, I realized that beds could vibrate. The wall lamp could cast an ambiguous pink-purple glow. With excitement and the thrill of this new experience, I blocked my family and posted a boastful, location-tagged update. Life achievement, staying in a romantic large bedroom at 23. Until Liu Ryan liked my post and sent me a message asking, Geiyu Sheng Hotel? Are you in room 816? It felt like a bucket of cold water had been poured over me, bringing me down from the clouds back to the ground. Oh no, I forgot to block her. But how did she know my room number? I'm in 816. I hesitated for a moment before replying. Are you? In 817. Next door? I'm back here for the new year. And I was also assigned to this hotel for quarantine. I heard the room next to 816 is one of those ... I didn't expect it to be you staying there. As I stared at the line she sent, my mind started to go blank. The pink-purple light shifted into a glaring red. Without knowing why, I told her that the lights in my room could change colors. What about your room? Chaos and embarrassment rose like a monstrous creature with sharp claws. My usual quick wit and joy seemed to vanish. This was the first time in 3 years we'd met face to face. How terrible. From as far back as I can remember, Liu Ryan lived right next door to me. I loved watching science shows. While she loved watching Sailor Moon *. I liked building Lego sets and studying airplane models. And she loved playing house and role-playing games. But most of all, I loved staying by her side. Even if it meant watching the boring Sailor Moon * with her. Until when I was 13, her family moved to another city, leaving behind only Liu's nostalgic grandmother living next door. I had always thought I'd stick by her side, never to part. From the age of 14 onwards, her family only came back during New Year's to visit her grandmother. Liu Ryan was always there during that time, and one night she'd secretly call me downstairs. She'd use her pocket money to buy a bunch of sparklers. The graceful young girl would stand under the dim streetlight, her eyes reflecting the sparks of the sparklers. The tiny dots of light, scattered and tender. The blossoming feelings of first love. Year after year, while waving those sparklers, I quietly gave my heart away. When I was 19, during New Year's, we had a primary school reunion, and Liu Ryan attended too. A bunch of students, too naive for their own good, excitedly pushed each other to drink as if they'd just come of age. On the way home, I pretended to be drunk. I stumbled and fell into her arms. I looked down at her, and she looked up at me. Then I felt a cool, soft touch on my lips. Unconsciously, I closed my eyes. She stood there, frozen in her innocence, and I didn't dare to move either. All I could feel was my heart racing. The next morning, I excitedly reached for my phone, ready to contact Liu Ryan, only to see a message from Han Cheng, another of our primary school classmates, with a screenshot. In the screenshot, Liu Ryan had posted a picture of herself holding hands with a stranger in her social media feed. The boy was smiling brightly. In the screenshot, Liu Ryan's caption read, "Hello, my boyfriend." I frantically refreshed my social media feed. But no matter how many times I tried, I couldn't find Liu Ryan's post. Han Chang was still excited, saying he took the screenshot the moment he saw it. He hadn't expected Liu Ryan to delete it so quickly after he refreshed the feed. Then he said, maybe she didn't delete it after all. Maybe she just blocked us from seeing it. You're close with Liu Ryan. Do you know any inside scoop? But last night, right before we said goodbye, Liu Ryan had nervously held my hand. She said she had something to tell me today. Something like, I already have a boyfriend. I lost control for a moment, but don't take it to heart. I shook my head, took a deep breath, and replied to Han Cheng, maybe she does have a boyfriend. I'm not sure. I had loved and trusted her with all my heart, believing it was a mutual journey. In Liu Ryan's eyes, it was just me who had thrown myself into her arms. Was I just a clown jumping around for her amusement? Liu Ryan conveniently sent a message. We drank last night. How are you? Headache, I'm waiting at your door. How could she? How could she act like this? A wave of sadness and frustration crashed over me. I coldly replied, headache. I'm sleeping, it's fine. Don't bother me. I avoided her and kept avoiding her until Liu Ryan's family came to my house to pay a New Year's visit. My mom asked me to serve tea to the guests sitting in the living room. Liu Ryan was lounging lazily on the couch, texting someone. Her slender fingers danced swiftly across the keyboard, and a smile crept onto her face as she saw me approach. She placed her phone face down on the coffee table. But in that split second before the screen went dark, I caught a glimpse of the photo she just zoomed in on. It was the same image from Han Cheng's screenshot, the one Liu Ryan had posted to announce her relationship. The boy's bright smile now seemed to have a hint of mockery. She did it on purpose, didn't she? I slammed her cup of tea onto the table. The water splashed everywhere. From that moment on, I distanced myself even further from Liu Ryan. No one ever brought up that night again. Liu Ryan would occasionally send me casual messages. I would always politely cut the conversation short, because that night, neither of us said I like you. Besides, she seemed to think I had forgotten everything. I didn't confront her. I just wanted to preserve the last shred of dignity in my ridiculous crush. Liu Ryan finished her studies abroad. This year, she was coming back home for the new year. Who would have thought that, of all places, I'd be assigned the room right next to hers? I cut short any conversation with her. Even the excitement of staying in a romantic-themed room had completely vanished. I washed up and tried to sleep, but the thought of sleep stayed in my mind from 8 p.m. all the way until 1 a.m. I was wide awake. And so were the memories of the past, as vivid as ever. Liu Ryan, that heartbreaker, stole my first kiss, did something she knew was wrong, and still popped up in my WeChat every day. Now we were enemies, as incompatible as water and fire. Just as I was worked up, I heard a faint but rhythmic knocking outside the door. The silver moonlight creeping into the room suddenly felt cold and sticky. Asterisk tap 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 asterisk. In the dead silence of 1 a.m., it sounded especially eerie. Asterisk young man found dead in a hotel late at night asterisk. Asterisk today's asterisk. Asterisk the mysteries something's wrong with that room asterisk. Bloody headlines from the news flashed through my mind. A chill ran down my spine. Fear replaced my anger, spreading through every hair on my body. The panic hit me hard and fast. At that moment, the only person I could think of who might help me was Liu Ryan. I didn't dare turn on the light. I had no idea where I'd kicked my slippers. Barefoot, I quietly tiptoed to the farthest corner from the door, crouched down and muted my phone. I called Liu Ryan through WeChat. My mind was racing with chaotic thoughts. Is her phone on silent? Will she answer? Who is outside the door? The moment the call connected, all my worries spilled out in a rush. Liu Ryan, someone's knocking on my door. Don't panic. First, call the hotel front desk. Don't open the door. I'll go check. Her clear and confident response calmed me down a little. Though Liu Ryan was a heartbreaker, before all that, she was always the calm, smart kid that everyone admired. Especially in moments like this, when I was utterly lost. Without hesitation, I groped through the dark to find the hotel's phone on the bedside table, but I was worried Liu Ryan would open her door right away. I quickly texted her back. "Don't go to the door. Don't open it. I'm calling now." The phone rang for what felt like ages before someone finally picked up. "Hello, how may I assist you?" I interrupted in a hushed voice. "I'm in room 816. Someone is knocking on my door." The sleepy voice on the other end immediately became alert. "Please don't hang up. We'll send someone over right away." Just then, I heard the door next to mine open, followed by the distinct beep of the hotel lock, a sound that was especially loud in the still of the night. I panicked. Why did Liu Ryan open the door? What if the person outside had a weapon? Without thinking, I rushed to my door. In that moment, I didn't even realize that my concern for Liu Ryan had far surpassed my fear. I flung my door open. Thankfully, there was a bird in the hallway, startled and flying erratically back and forth. A few grains of rice were stuck to the floor. Northeastern rice, no less. I even remembered the volunteer who delivered the meal at noon, smiling so warmly that their eyes almost disappeared. A huge wave of emotion washed over me, leaving me breathless and lost. I felt as though I might suffocate myself, but it was all just in my head. I glanced at the bird, then at the grains of rice stuck on the floor. Finally, I had no choice but to look at Liu Ryan. After puberty, girls grow up to be so beautiful. Her hair was a mess, a few rebellious strands drooping tiredly over her eyelids. Clearly, she had just woken up, yet her eyes were filled with worrying, not a trace of sleepiness. Liu Ryan bit her lip, looking a bit anxious. "Were you scared?" I lowered my head, avoiding her gaze. "No, I'm fine now." Everywhere I looked, her thin, cotton pajamas clung to her firm and shapely figure. So no one was really knocking on your door. It was just rice sticking to the door from lunch. And the bird flew into the hallway, pecking at your door. Security guard number 1 explained to me. Security guard number 2 looked annoyed, as if he wanted to say something, but security guard number 1 gave him a pat, stopping him. Looking at these two strong security guys, I kept apologizing. "Sorry for disturbing your rest." Security guard number 1 said, "It's fine. This is what we're here for, after all. It's part of the job." Security guard number 2 glanced between me and Liu Ryan. "Make sure you follow the quarantine rules, alright?" My face flushed with embarrassment. After the guards walked away, I finally looked at Liu Ryan. "Sorry for bothering you tonight as well. Really, I'm sorry. You should go get some rest." Liu Ryan reached out, trying to pat my arm. I instinctively stepped back. Her hand missed and awkwardly retracted. She tried to smile, but it looked a little stiff. I just wanted to say, "Yi Chen, don't be so distant," I awkwardly replied. "Friends aren't distant from each other. We've always been friends, haven't we?" I had intended to mock her sarcastically, but after closing the door and lying in bed, I couldn't stop thinking about Liu Ryan's hurt expression, her eyes and hair drooping, like a little puppy looking sad and tired. My WeChat was still open to the chat window with her. I found myself staring at the words voice call ended in a daze. "When she looks at you so wholeheartedly, worried for you." I feel like I could get lost in the deep affection in her eyes. I shook my head, trying to chase away that heart-fluttering feeling. "Yi Chen, you can't fall for it again. Fear really can drain a person's energy." This time, I fell asleep quickly. "Do you want some fruit?" "Your favorite strawberries." Early in the morning, Liu Ryan sent me a message. I was forced to mentally replay her boyfriend announcement post. I replied distantly, "There are cameras in the hallway. We should follow the quarantine rules and not trouble anyone." "Are you sure you don't want any?" Liu Ryan persisted. "No, I'm good, but yeah, these 14 days of quarantine are really boring." Constantly avoiding the topics she brought up felt awkward and stiff. After Liu Ryan's 10,086th message to me, I couldn't hold back any longer and asked, "How did you meet your boyfriend? Please give me an explanation. Let my first kiss and my secret crush come to a clear end." "I didn't. When did you think I had one?" Her quick reply left me momentarily confused. "What about your ex-boyfriend?" To back up my question, I even found the screenshot I had saved for years. The one that had haunted me for so long. When I sent it, I felt an unprecedented sense of calm. But I hadn't expected such an unexpected response. The boy in the photo was actually Liu Ryan's cousin. He had been relentlessly pursued by a girl, and after failing to reject her, he asked Liu Ryan to pretend to be his girlfriend. The first post that was quickly deleted was because she forgot to block others from seeing it. The second time, when she smiled at the photo at my house, was because her cousin had just messaged her saying the plan worked. It was also ridiculous, it felt like a joke. So no matter how much misunderstanding there was, my secret crush ended in a gray, hazy way. The sadness and disappointment I had felt gradually gave way to a sense of calm. On the day I was going home, my parents didn't come to pick me up. They just sent a short message. "You and Liu Ryan can go home together." The next moment, Liu Ryan's message arrived. "Let's go home together." As if it had all been planned, I smiled slightly, feeling a bit amused. But what mindset should I use to face her? When I got home, my parents were playing mahjong with Grandma Liu from next door. The clattering of the mahjong tiles sounded as if they were joyfully celebrating the revival of my long-dead first love. There was food on the table. "Take it next door and eat with Xiaoyan." Mom waved at me. I dragged my suitcase back to my room, then grabbed the food and headed next door. I knocked on the door. Liu Ryan opened it, immediately understanding they're playing mahjong, aren't they? "You've come to hide here again." "No, my mom told me to bring you dinner." I lowered the food, making sure she could see what dishes there were. Liu Ryan let out a laugh. "Wow, you've grown so tall." Casually, she took the food from me, and with her other hand, she tried to gesture at my height. I glared at her. Being short isn't so bad. At least you can slip past people blocking your way. Liu Ryan smiled at me, familiar as ever, and quickly ran to the kitchen, taking out some plates and bowls. Before I could stop her, she added, "I've got something to do right now. Just put the food in the thermal container for now. I can do it myself." I waved the 2 bowls in my hand at her. "If you're not eating, I will." I looked down and started scooping rice, no longer glancing at her. "I thought you were just here to drop off the food," Liu Ryan murmured softly after turning away. 3 minutes later, Liu Ryan's sleeves were neatly rolled up to her forearms, her hands glistening with droplets of water. She walked up beside me, grabbed a napkin, and slowly wiped her hands. "I'm done. Let's eat together. I thought you'd be busy for a while. Turns out your big task was just washing your hands?" Bubbles of joy quietly surfaced, and the heavy stone in my heart vanished without a trace. Liu Ryan's face flushed slightly, for once looking a bit shy. "I just wanted to have dinner with you." Is that too straightforward? The smile that had just risen on my face froze in place. I awkwardly lowered my head, shoveling a mouthful of food into my mouth. "Well, then eat up," I mumbled. My heart skipped a beat. Liu Ryan was the one to break the silence. "So how have you been these past few years?" Actually, after she moved away, we still kept in touch. But after that misunderstanding caused by Liu Ryan, I had cut her out of my life. I stubbornly replied, "Not bad. I've been really happy hanging out with friends every day." In reality, I had spent a long time feeling down, thinking I'd been played. My phone buzzed with a vibration on the table, and I instinctively checked it. Just a glance at the notification reminded me of the truth after Liu Ryan had moved away. I met a new friend at school. He also lives in this neighborhood, but calling him a brother would be more accurate. He knew I was in quarantine, and after I moved into the romantic-themed room, he called me every day, making me give him a virtual tour of the entire room like some kind of personal guide. By the end of it, I was exhausted and parched. I even swindled a meal out of him for all the trouble. "Hey, you should check for hidden cameras," he joked. "I heard there are more cameras here than in a driving test center." He sent me another mischievous emoji. "You know what I mean. What kind of nonsense are you watching every day?" I shot back. Then, like a fool, I followed an online guide and inspected the room for cameras. Today was the first day quarantine ended. He messaged me, probably to treat me to a meal. I opened the message and turned the screen toward Liu Ryan. "A friend is looking for me." I watched as her eyes scanned the name Shai Zhengxiang. Before glancing back at our chat history, her gaze deepened as she looked at me. I nodded slightly. Her words seemed to twist around in her mouth before she spoke. "She's chasing after me." I was conflicted. On one hand, I still felt a faint sense of affection for Liu Ryan, but on the other hand, I didn't want to turn into a puppy at her beck and call, ready to come whenever she summoned me and leave when dismissed. "You were the one who caused all this trouble. I thought I was hurt for so long. And now, just because you cleared things up, am I supposed to run back to you happily again? So you're having dinner with him tonight?" Liu Ryan pointed at the now empty bowl in front of me. I felt a little flustered and annoyed. I glared at her. "Well, I'll just go for a walk with Shai Zhengxiang. Chat a bit, can't I? It's not like all I do is eat." Liu Ryan frowned. "It's late, I'll go with you. He likes me. It wouldn't be appropriate for you to come along." "Alright, don't worry," I said as I started cleaning up the dishes. Standing up from the table, "I'm heading out, tell Shai Zhengxiang that I've already eaten." He replied, sounding quite touched. "You're really saving me money here." I shot him a glance. "Why the sudden visit? You never come without a reason." Shai Zhengxiang grabbed my arm, taking a few steps forward, and sneakily pointed at the boy ahead. "It's him, I want to chase him." Turns out she was following a boy and came to my place as a cover. I shook off her hand. I gave the boy a once-over. "He looks decent enough," I said sarcastically. "Wow, good for you." Shai Zhengxiang didn't pick up on my sarcasm. She was overly excited. The boy turned a corner and continued walking ahead. She tried to pull me along to follow him again. I shook my arm, trying to avoid her. Shai Zhengxiang looked at me cluelessly. "What are you doing? Let's go." "He's leaving." I opened my mouth to say something, but a familiar voice behind me interrupted. "Yi Chen," the voice called. It was a voice I had just heard while eating dinner. Both Shai Zhengxiang and I turned, our heads together, with her hand still resting on my arm. The streetlight was dim, and Liu Ryan's face was blurry. Her voice low. "I came downstairs to take out the trash. Since we bumped into each other, aren't you going to introduce me?" Shai Zhengxiang nudged me. "Who's this? Your rival? He thinks you're chasing after me." I whispered to Shai Zhengxiang. "This misunderstanding could be bad. What if he spots me? How am I supposed to chase after him then?" She started to pull her arm away from mine. "A friend who's always treating me to hot pot and helping me out." Shai Zhengxiang's expression shifted, and she cast a wary glance at Liu Ryan, while I exhaled internally. She's really playing her part well. Shai Zhengxiang pulled me toward Liu Ryan, raising her voice slightly. "Yi Chen, how about we go hiking at Senling tomorrow? It's been a while since we've hung out together." Liu Ryan's hand, which was hanging by her side, clenched and then relaxed. She raised her voice as well. "I'm Yi Chen's childhood friend. My name's Liu Ryan. Since we're all friends, let's go together tomorrow." Shai Zhengxiang, clearly annoyed, responded. "I only have tickets for the hot springs. There's no room for you." I mentally applauded Shai Zhengxiang. Her acting was on point. "No problem, I can pay for myself. Let's get to know each other," Liu Ryan insisted. Shai Jingxiang gave me a pleading look, probably not expecting Liu Ryan to be so persistent. We can just meet now. No need for tomorrow. Tomorrow we'll have more time to chat while hiking. Liu Ryan wasn't backing down. In the end, Shai Jingxiang couldn't argue her way out of it. Because of Shai Jingxiang's careless bragging, I ended up paying for 2 hot spring tickets. She said it was her way of helping me. So I should be the one to foot the bill, spending my own money to invite someone who might ruin my chances with a potential future girlfriend. What a truly absurd friend I have. Early the next morning, Liu Ryan knocked on my door. Shai Jingxiang also messaged me, claiming she would assist in my love life again. I dragged myself out of bed, rubbing my eyes. I picked out a loose-fitting tracksuit, trying to look as energetic as possible. Liu Ryan was already in my house, chatting with my mom, clearly winning her over. When I opened the door, I noticed Liu Ryan's eyes light up when she saw me. Deliberately, I said, "Let's go." Shai Jingxiang is probably getting impatient. She awkwardly replied, "Okay." And we headed out. The suburban forest was a bit far. Shai Jingxiang suggested that the 3 of us take the bus. When we boarded, she quickly ran ahead, grabbing the window seat. She patted the seat next to her, saying, "Yi Chen, sit here with me." Although she was talking to me, her eyes were provocatively locked on Liu Ryan. Liu Ryan quietly walked past me, choosing a seat near the aisle. She didn't say a word, just stared at me. I suddenly remembered our childhood outings with her family. I always used to fight for the window seat, but Liu Ryan never competed with me. She would quietly sit down, then smile as I happily sat next to her. "You're really good to me, Liu Ryan." I always used to say that, and she still remembered. I felt a wave of nostalgia wash over me. Apologetically, I glanced at Shai Jingxiang. "I'll sit next to Liu Ryan," I said. Though, truth be told, Shai Jingxiang probably wouldn't care too much. It was me who felt more conflicted. After I sat down, Liu Ryan's lips curled slightly. A smile she couldn't fully suppress spread across her face. She gave Shai Jingxiang a brief, triumphant glance. "You always liked sitting here as a kid," Liu Ryan said slowly, as if she were picking memories out of the fog of the past. "And it seems you still do." "I haven't changed. I've always been like this." I responded, my words carrying a deeper meaning. I didn't dare look at her, but my words were clearly intentional. Shai Jingxiang was proving to be unreliable. Halfway through the bus ride, she received a phone call, and her voice grew tense and hurried. "Are you okay?" "As long as you're fine, I'll be right there." She turned to me, gesturing to her phone, signaling for me to check WeChat. "That boy you saw yesterday ran into some trouble. I need to leave right now and help him. I won't be able to help you anymore today. Do your best on your own." The call she got did have a boy's panicked voice in the background. She wasn't lying. I quickly replied, all right, go ahead. Be brave and chase after love." After talking to the driver, Shai Jingxiang got off the bus midway. Liu Ryan, noticing her departure, remarked, "Did she get a call from that boy? She sure left in a hurry." Originally, I was hoping to get to know her today, but I guess there's no chance now. In the end, she ditched you to find someone else. Liu Ryan concluded, "If she ever says she's chasing after you again, you should really think it through." Shai Jingxiang, who had already left, sent another message. "I changed the hot spring tickets you bought. 2 sweet tickets. It cost me a fortune, so if you two end up together, you owe me 5 hot pot meals at least." Shai Jingxiang had a knack for reading people, and Liu Ryan's quiet jealousy was irresistibly cute. I suppressed a laugh, leaned a little closer to Liu Ryan, and pretended to sulk, saying, "Forget her. Let's just hike the mountain together." Liu Ryan didn't have much stamina. After the bus dropped us off at the foot of the mountain, we hiked for about 30 minutes before she started getting tired. I slowed my pace to match hers, and eventually, we stopped so she could rest. "How about we go running tomorrow?" I suggested. "Once you build up your endurance, We can tackle another mountain hike. I reached over and grabbed her backpack, offering to carry it for her as I extended my hand. Hold on to my sleeve. She obediently followed, gripping my sleeve as I led her up the mountain. Honestly, though, I didn't want her to hold my sleeve. I wanted her to hold my hand. Liu Ryan took small steps, and to accommodate her, I slowed down even more. I mentally calculated the time, realizing that at this pace, we might not make it to the mountaintop hot springs in time. I looked at Liu Ryan and said, "How about we take the cable car up? I'm afraid we'll miss the hot springs otherwise." Liu Ryan seemed pleased with my suggestion and smiled. "All right, it's all because it's the holidays," I said as we made our way up. Even though it was a holiday, the hot spring hotel at the mountain was still quite crowded. I took out the reservation information and headed to the hotel front desk to collect our room key. The receptionist glanced at me, then at Liu Ryan beside me, and gave us a knowing look with a hint of implication in her voice. "Have a pleasant evening, you two. I guess there were a lot of couples staying here. He must have misunderstood." I explained Shai Zhengxiang booked a suite. There are 2 bedrooms in the room. Liu Ryan frowned as she stepped into the suite. "Shai Zhengxiang ditched you for some other guy today. So why did you still agree to share a hot spring room with her? And she even picked a single suite for the both of you. You shouldn't trust people so easily. What if she had bad intentions? It's 1 room, but there are 2 bedrooms. Nothing's going to happen. I'm a guy, what do I have to be afraid of?" Despite my reassurances, Liu Ryan still frowned, looking worried. "Don't think too much about it," I said. "At the end of the day, it's just you and me staying here, right? Let's go enjoy the hot springs first," I added, trying to change the topic. I adjusted the backpack still slung over my shoulders, pulling out some clothes and a bag of bread. Eat something. Soaking in the hot springs on an empty stomach can make you dizzy. And remember, after a while, come out and drink some water. Don't stay in too long. I paused for a moment, then added, "Contact me when you're done. Since it's a gender-segregated bath, we won't see each other for a bit." She nodded, smiling at me. "Got it. Thank you for caring." I changed into my swimsuit and stepped into the hot spring, the warm water wrapping around me like a comforting embrace. I let out a comfortable sigh, the pink and blue sky above looking like a dreamy painting. After soaking in the hot spring, my body felt warm, and I floated back to the room feeling light. Liu Ryan was in the living room of the suite, watching TV. My cheeks were slightly flushed, and I excused myself to the bathroom, saying I'll just take a quick shower. When I came out, Liu Ryan was still sitting on the sofa. When he saw me, he picked up the glass from the coffee table, took a sip, and I sat down next to him. That's when I noticed his cheeks were red, and there was a faint sweet smell of alcohol in the air. Oh no, that wasn't just water. It seemed like he'd been drinking fruit wine. Too late. When Liu Ryan saw me sit down, he leaned over, resting his chin on my shoulder. His warm breath tickled the back of my neck. "Li Chen, can you stop liking Shai Zhengxiang? I liked you first." Liu Ryan seemed drunk. He mumbled again. "Why did you come back so fast?" "I just sat and had a few drinks, and you're already done with the hot spring." "I want to go to the hot spring," he said, pushing on the sofa beside me, trying to get up, but the soft cushions sank beneath him, and he couldn't muster any strength. I quickly grabbed him. "Liu Ryan, you must have a headache. You weren't drinking juice. It was fruit wine. And you didn't just have a few glasses. You finished 2 bottles. After drinking, you can't soak in the hot spring anymore." "Alright then, I'll listen to you." Liu Ryan stopped struggling, obediently agreeing. Drunk Liu Ryan looked adorably soft and innocent. His eyes and brows carried a hint of childish innocence. After a brief silence, Liu Ryan softly asked, "Do you hate me because of the post I made on my social media? I thought you didn't know about it. No wonder you've been ignoring me. Did you forget about that night? Or do you regret it? Who do you like? Is it Shai Zhengxiang?" No, she's not good for you. I'm the good one. Liu Ryan's words were disjointed, but there was something irresistibly charming about them. Yes, you're good. You're the best, I replied, following his lead. Liu Ryan suddenly sat up straight, and as he moved, his open collar revealed more of his alluring charm. He leaned in again, and before I could react, his soft lips pressed against mine. I was stunned. I stood there, eyes wide open, watching his eyelashes tremble wildly. He seemed really shy. This thought popped into my head at the most inappropriate time. I gently pushed him away, barely suppressing a laugh. No. Last time also because of alcohol. When you're sober, if you say those words again, then I might consider liking you. I dashed back to my room, closed the door, but I couldn't help thinking about Liu Ryan on the sofa. I peeked out through the door. He was already lying in bed, fast asleep. The next morning, I opened the door to find a steaming hot breakfast on the table. Hearing the noise, Liu Ryan rushed out of his room in a hurry. Don't say anything yet. I stopped him, but he looked up at me, his eyes sincere. I always thought you were avoiding me because you didn't like me. But I didn't realize it was because of my mistake. I like you. Can you consider liking me back? Afraid I'd laugh if I looked at him, I purposely avoided his gaze. At least you finally realize your mistake, I teased. I'll think about it. Liu Ryan blinked rapidly, looking a bit anxious. How long will you think about it? 5 days. How about 3 days? Let's make it 10 days. Fine, 5 days. I'll wait for you to like me, he said with determination. We took the bus back home again. On the way, Shai Zhengxiang messaged me, saying she had finally won over the guy she was chasing. I congratulated her. But my mind drifted to the moment Liu Ryan confessed to me. Liu Ryan was watching me, grinning from ear to ear, leaning over to peek at my phone. Shai Zhengxiang's tone shifted. Don't scold me. Just let me show you the chat history. I handed my phone to Liu Ryan, and he seemed to get the joke. You tricked me again. Liu Ryan's voice had a tone of helplessness mixed with fondness. Just like when we were kids, whenever he caught me being mischievous. Well, you're the one who's dense. I turned my head to look out the window. The winter trees were bare, but somehow the swirling leaves seemed to be joyfully dancing in the cold wind. It was strange, but I felt a flutter of excitement. That night, Liu Ryan asked me to go for a walk. Seeing the curious look in my parents' eyes, I mumbled, a friend is waiting for me downstairs. As for the fact that we both left the house together, well, I decided to play the ostrich and pretend not to notice. I decided to bury my head in the sand and forget about it for now. Yi Chen, what are you doing? Liu Ryan took my hand, intertwining our fingers. Yi Chen, this time. I refused to answer, pretending to be annoyed and quickened my pace. Not far ahead, there was a couple being quite affectionate. The petite girl had her hair tied in twin ponytails, bouncing along playfully. It looked like Shai Zhengxiang. Hesitantly, I called out, Shai Zhengxiang? The girl turned around sharply. When she saw me, she squinted, her expression turning sour. She walked over with her boyfriend, and out of Liu Ryan's sight, she mouthed to me, why aren't you two together yet? I've already got my boyfriend here. I really can't help you anymore. I didn't have time to respond before Liu Ryan pulled me to her side. She extended her hand. Nice to meet you again. I'm Liu Ryan, Yi Chen's girlfriend. I took a couple of steps back, wrapped my arms around Liu Ryan's slender waist, and rested my head gently on her shoulder. Forgot to mention, we're together now, too. From Liu Ryan's perspective, she thought, I have someone I like. Her name is Yi Chen. She's like a warm little sun, always bright. My first kiss at 19. My first realization of love. I couldn't stop thinking about her. But then Yi Chen started acting distant. I tried to find her, but she wouldn't see me. I tried to talk to her, but she avoided me. Even when I went to her house during New Year's, she'd rather slam the glass on the table than hand it to me. Maybe she felt uncomfortable after I kissed her so suddenly. I knew I had to take it slow. I thought it might be because I left for school abroad. Liu Ryan's thoughts, asterisk over time. Yi Chen and I gradually lost touch. 3 years later, I came home for the new year. And because of the pandemic, we were forced into quarantine. Yi Chen, with his long dormant social media, suddenly burst back into life, announcing to the world that he was quarantined in the romantic-themed room at Kaohsiung Hotel, right next to me. I couldn't tell if I was nervous or excited. I messaged him, Kaohsiung Hotel, huh? Are you in room 816? His reply came slowly, and even through the screen, I could sense his hesitation. Why, Yi Chen? I didn't dare to ask. I never expected Yi Chen would reach out to me first. At 1 a.m., his voice was trembling, almost in tears. Liu Ryan, someone's knocking on my door. I told him not to go near the door, but I couldn't stop myself from worrying about him. I admit I acted impulsively. Without thinking about what could be outside, I opened my door. Luckily, it was just a bird that caused the noise. Maybe the sound of the door startled it, because Yi Chen rushed out after me. Once he realized it was nothing, he exhaled deeply, his whole body relaxing from the tension. He apologized for disturbing my rest, but all I could think was, as long as he's safe, that's all that matters. I hadn't seen him in so long. I couldn't help but want to message him, but Yi Chen kept brushing me off. It felt strange. Why was he avoiding me? Until one day, he asked me, "How did you meet your boyfriend?" That's when the truth finally came out, and I understood everything. I thought, if he really likes me ... if that kissed him. But the next day announced a relationship with someone else. How heartbroken must Yi Chen have been, asterisk. No matter what, it was my fault. I have to win him back. But now, it feels like it might be too late. There's this girl named Shai Zhengxiang, and she's all over him. Yi Chen proudly smiled at me, telling me that Shai Zhengxiang was chasing him. He even planned a mountain hike and hot spring trip with her. So I shamelessly followed along. But Shai Zhengxiang ditched Yi Chen for another guy. I subtly hinted to Yi Chen that he should see her for what she is. Yi Chen decided to go to the hot spring, and I stayed behind on the sofa, trying to figure out what to do next. There was a drink on the table, and without thinking, I poured myself a glass. I drank while I thought. Before long, Yi Chen came back, taking a shower and sitting down next to me again. The sweet, cloying scent of the fruit wine mixed with the fresh laundry smell of his clothes, and I couldn't resist wanting to lean into him. Yi Chen noticed and told me I'd been drinking. Fine, I'll just pretend I'm drunk, I thought as I finally voiced the feelings I had kept inside for so long. Turns out Shai Zhengxiang wasn't serious, but my feelings were real. Now, Yi Chen and I are together. But Yi Chen doesn't want to announce it in front of his parents. Even though my mom and his mom have been openly and subtly hinting at it everywhere from the kitchen to the dining table, and even during mahjong. He's like a shy little ostrich, burying his head and pretending not to notice. I'll have to try harder. During New Year's dinner, I deliberately held Yi Chen's hand. He was teased into drinking, and after a few glasses, he was so wobbly he couldn't keep his eyes open. He just gave up and closed them all together. The younger kids started making playful noises, and Yi Chen's face turned bright red. He's so adorable. Now everyone knows that we are in love.